Good morning. My name is Scott Morris. I am the category director for board games at GTS Distribution. Today we are doing our second B2B webinar, which is an opportunity for you as retailers to engage with publishers of ours and talk about products that they have currently available and what's coming out. Today I have Curt, who is the owner of Smirk and Dagger and Smirk and Laughter Games. Most people will remember Smirk and Dagger from many games over the last couple of years. Right now, we're going to talk about two special games. One of them is available right now, which is Tower of Madness, which is an 18xx space exploration. No, I'm kidding. It's not an 18xx exploration game. Tower of Madness is a really cool Cthulhu game, and you can see a little bit of the tentacles kind of peeking out there next to Curt. We're also going to talk about a game that's available for pre-order right now, which is coming out later this month called Koi. And I'll let Curt go ahead and talk through both of those, but just so everyone is aware as to how the whole program works, for those of you attending live right now, when the webinar is completed, the GTS sales reps will get notified that you and your stores were attending live. You'll be eligible to be able to get a free demo copy of Tower of Madness just for attending. And then in addition, we're going to run a sale between this Monday, which is the 8th, till next Monday, which is the 15th, where we're going to be doing 52% off of both games, whether you are ordering Tower of Madness right now or whether you're going to pre-order Koi for shipment later this month. You'll be able to get 52% off MSRP, which is phenomenal. Great value for the store. Two great games at good prices. We'll go ahead and talk a little bit about that at the end, but right now we're going to go ahead and let Curt take over and kind of jump in. I will turn off my video since I have a face made for radio, as I tell everybody, but we'll go ahead and turn off my video so that it cuts down on bandwidth and let Curt jump into things. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free. Let us know in the chat window. I can always unmute people if we need to talk, or we can, if we just get a text Curt, I'll just pop up and let you know, and we'll take it from there. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Curt.
All right. Well, hey, everybody. Thank you so much for coming by and giving a listen this morning. I really appreciate the time you're taking. I've got a couple things to share with you this morning, so I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen here. Take just a second. Ta-da! Okay, here we go. So we are going to be talking today about the two games that we kind of highlighted, Tower of Madness and Koi, but I'm also going to do a quick preview of Roll for Your Life Candyman at the very end if there's a little bit of time. I want to keep this pretty short so there's plenty of time for questions at the end, because it really should be a dialogue. But let's start with Tower of Madness. Now, for those of you who may not know what Tower of Madness is all about, very broadly, Tower of Madness is for 3 to 5 players. It is for ages 10 and up, about 40 to 60 minutes to play. And this is a casual weight dice game with a marble-filled tower as a means of adding drama to that dice game. It retails for $60, and it released September 5th, currently in stock. And yes, the demo game that you'll get here is going to be really important because there we go. Selling the game is probably, in some cases, almost as easy as really just putting this game out on the table. So I'm just going to tip down here to get a better look at it. It's obviously got a lot of table presence. And when you set it out and people start playing with it and they're like, oh, you know, they start finding out what's going on inside, it's just really dramatic. And you're going to get basically two different reactions to this game when people walk by. And the first one is, oh my God, tell me more about this game. People who like fall in love with just the visual appeal of it are just going to be sold right away. You're also going to get, though, oh, well, it's just Cthulhu Kerplunk. Well, don't let that sales opportunity get away. What I do at shows and whenever I talk with people is I basically let them know that, yeah, the inspiration of this game was actually Dread. And Dread uses, a Jenga tower in order to add dramatic tension to that RPG. And this does the exact same thing. It takes a familiar concept and it layers some drama into this dice game. But it's not just random dice either. There are player powers that vary from player to player. There are spell cards. The locations offer variable dice challenges to the game, so it's always changing. And of course, there's player transformation, just like in Nevermore. Here, if you pull 4 madness, you're going to go insane, and that changes the entire way you play. And now you actually want to summon Cthulhu. And for a lot of players, the ability to do that in this game and win as an insane player is almost the cost of admission. So, but let's just talk briefly about some of the top line rules, just so you're familiar with it. But as I said, this is a dice game. So here are the dice right here. And they all have it's 1 through 6, but it also has all these various symbols on it. You're going to have a number of locations to investigate, and these are the victory points. Whoever has the most victory points by being the best investigator over the course of the game is going to win, assuming Cthulhu does not rise. Now, at each location, you're going to roll these dice, and every time you roll, you're going to place 1 die, locking it into position over here. And you need to get a gate, a heart, and a mind in order to succeed your investigation. These last 2 dice are your discovery dice. You want these to be as high as possible because that's how you vie for these victory points at the location. So if I had gotten a 9 on these dice and I got a 1, 2, 3 here, then I get a yellow marble marking my position. The next player would then go. We all get a shot at this location. And now if someone gets a 9 or higher, they take over as lead investigator. If, however, you somehow don't get the 3 investigation dice locked in, you have failed. And at that point, that's time to draw from the tower. And any marbles that fall are going to impact your character immediately. However, it's important to note that unlike the familiar game of the past, this is, you don't want to avoid all the marble drops. Half of them are good. Blue marbles are discovery marbles. They're worth 3 victory points, just like this location is worth 6. White marbles, that's forbidden knowledge. You start with 2 spells, but if you ever want another spell, white marbles have to drop out of the tower on your turn. But of course, that comes at a risk. So red marbles are madness. As soon as you collect 4 of those, that's where you go insane and you change sides. Now you don't care about dice. You don't care about points. You care about summoning Cthulhu. So on your turn, you're playing insane spell cards and pulling from the tower, trying to get Cthulhu to rise. Now, Cthulhu will rise if the 3rd green Doom marble drops out of the tower before they finish all their investigations. If that happens, game over, Cthulhu rises. But if you're the insane player that actually causes that 3rd to drop, well, that's different. You just summon Cthulhu, and that's enough for you to win the game. And I think that's what really puts people over the edge when they find out they can win as an insane player. As I mentioned, every character has a unique ability and also a common one. This all kind of mitigates some of the dice randomness. So if you roll double 5s, you get one of these unnatural influence tokens. They give you like the ability for like 1 last chance if you failed your investigation, or if someone beat your score on your discovery dice, 1 last chance to beat the leader, or even give away a madness just before you go insane. But in any case, that's the broad strokes of the game. As I mentioned, spells are, you get 2 of them, but they have both a sane and an insane side, depending on what you are currently. And we assume you start sane. Let's see. These are the locations. The first one has no other abilities. You're just doing the straight dice rolls. But as you notice, every other location has a different challenge. So the mines, you're now going to draw 2 if you fail this location out of the tower, and then those marbles impact you. Whereas over at Miskatonic University, if you, when you roll, you have to assign both of those discovery dice, those number dice at the end, on your first throw, which severely limits your ability to actually get a successful investigation. A couple notes about this. We were delighted when this thing hit the BGG Buzz #5 at Gen Con. It also moved over to the hotness list for about 2 weeks. In fact, at one point on Saturday, all 3 of our newest games at Gen Con hit the top 5. Not So Fast was #4, and Before There Were Stars was #1. I mean, we've never ranked that high ever, and we were delighted. Tower of Madness is beginning some great reviews. And if you're unaware, this month of October, we are having a huge month-long retail demo event through Envoy. It includes 137 stores. One of them may be yours. It's got over 400 demo events across the month with a whole bunch of social media promotion, both before those events and also from those events with pictures of people playing. By the way, if Envoy is not something that your store is currently doing, I do have just a little information for you. These are facilitated third-party demos. That the publishers end up, we hire the services of Envoy. These are all trained volunteers who are trained on each game that they demo. They go into your store at no cost to you, and they even bring their own copy of the game. As a store, you can even sign up yourself with Envoy or have an employee do so if you want to have that demo staff really be part of your own. That's completely fine. You get the demo copy and the support. Which includes promo materials, social media banners to announce the event, pre-written posts that you can customize for social media. I had a double-sided poster that I sent out. There are 62 publishers involved with Envoy, so it's not just my games, it's a whole mess of games where you got these new game splash events for new games that come out that you really want to focus on. And if you do one, you don't have to do them all. It's really up to you. So in any case, I've got the contact down below for Vinny or Abby, and you can contact me if you've missed that as well. But I do want to mention one last thing, and it's a little bit of troubleshooting on Tower of Madness. If you have folks in the store who are like, hey, my tower doesn't really hold together, the magnets don't seem strong enough, or I can't get the roof to fit on. These assembly issues I covered in a YouTube video, so I won't take the time to do those right now, but if you search Tower of Madness Assembly, I will be happy to go ahead. You'll see me describe all the simple ways that can be modified. All those problems are handleable right in their home. However, if they have missing and broken components, which has happened, just have them email me at smirkanddagger@gmail.com. Happy to take care of that. All right, well, let's move on to Koi. First of all, I just fell in love with the whole theme of this game, and as you can see, that came right through in the beautiful execution. We had a fine gallery artist create the art for this game, and it is stunning here in the photo and on shelf. The game is for 1 to 4 players, which includes a wonderful solo mode, by the way. Ages 10 plus, plays in about 40 to 60 minutes. This is a light strategy game. It really features casual play. It's got enough tooth for regular gamers, but this is particularly good for new gamers and families to get into because it is very simple. The mechanics are very elegant. It's easy to jump into with just a description of maybe even 3 cards, and they're in and playing. It does feature a hex board, some simple program movement, and an event deck. It retails for $39.95, and this is hitting the street in a week and a half, I guess. So October 17 for this game. What is it? Well, this is a game where you're a koi fish, and you are just swimming through the pond trying to get the best meal you can of dragonflies, which are worth 3 points, and frogs that are worth 1. As you can see, I mean, out on the table, it's just gorgeous. So again, I recommend putting one of these out on a demo table. The look of the box will draw people when they get to touch the various components. They're gonna absolutely fall in love. You can see right here, these These koi are printed double-sided, which is a really nice feature too. But in any case, when I say it's really simple to learn, boy, it really is. And I've got a couple examples that even go deeper than you'll need to, but just to give you kind of a sense of the game. You're going to have a hand, say it's going to be 5 cards. It can vary, you know, from 3 all the way up to 7. But so here you've got some movement cards right here and some natural beauty cards over here. Now, a movement card is just that. Unlike Robo Rally, you're not planning, you know, your move way ahead. Every time you play a card, it becomes a planned movement card like this. So you start with the fish, and you can align that with the fish on the hex. This is a hex game, so you are aligning that fish to a hex facing. And now you just simply move up, just like the fish is swimming upstream, move up the card. So I move forward 1, and here I have done so. I move forward 1 again. Oh, I bumped into a rock. Can't travel through a rock, so I don't go anywhere. I'm going to turn to the left, and you do that right in your head. I move forward, moving onto the lily pad and gobbling a delicious dragonfly. And this card describes all the other movement that's possible. A blue arrow is an optional movement. I do not have to move if it's blue. This allows me to rotate in any hex facing that I choose. And lastly, this is a leap. So I can't move through a rock, but I sure can jump over top of one. And that little icon allows me to leap right over, skipping whatever in that spot. Now, that covers all of the movement. So now what about the nature cards? Nature cards are there to beautify the board. And so you're going to be adding things throughout play, decorative stone and lily pads and all sorts of things. Everything you add is either going to be a little benefit for you or a little hindrance for them. So here we've got our decorative stone that allows you to place 2 stones on the board. As I mentioned, they block movement. So if I wanted to start like placing them as impediments to another fish, I certainly can do that. I can't, however, put it next to another one to create a hard wall. They've got to be at least a gap between them. Frogs are a great example of something that's really either good or bad, depending on how you play it. So here, frogs are worth 1 point if you gobble them up. So I could create a frog right in front of me and then swim and gobble that frog up. Or let's say another player is coming next turn, I think, to eat these 6 points of dragonflies, 3 each. Well, if I put my frog right here adjacent to both, frogs love dragonflies. And they eat them as soon as they're adjacent. So I've just deprived them of a 6-point meal and left them with a 1-point meal. Cherry blossoms I think are delightful cards. You end up placing this cherry blossom token in any space that you like, and then it affects all the little spaces around it, kind of like ripples going out on a pond. So what it does is it startles all the living creatures and pushes them back all 1 space. And as you can see here, I was pretty smart being orange. I've just knocked this dragonfly right into my mouth, and it was delicious. So that is really all that anyone needs to know to be jumping right in. Now, there are event cards. And the event cards are just going to change from round to round to give a small variation to play, which I think is kind of nice. Now, whether you have it out on the table or you just flip the box over, this is a game that you can pretty much describe right from the back of the box. Again, it's just a stunning game. It really presents well on shelf, and it's a game that is not just elegant, but really thematic to play. It's surprising, even when some of these little mild take that things, it's a very zen feeling. And I think part of that is because as a fish, it's very hard to go straight at whatever you're going for. You weave back and forth just like you would in a koi pond. So there we go. I think we got just another minute, so let me just touch on Roll for Your Life Candyman. This is not part of the actual promo special with GTS, but I want you to know about it because it is coming soon. This is for one. Yeah.
Before you go on, we did get a question. Kylie had asked if there was a difference in the light and dark color hexes on the board for Koi.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah. There is actually no difference whatsoever. The spaces are done that way to help visually guide people, so it's easy. It's easy to get confused, like where you are. It gives you just a visual. It ends the visual clutter by creating just a little bit of delineation, so you can see where you're going.
Awesome. Thank you.
Do that. Okay, go back to my screen here. There we go. Okay, so Roll for Your Life, 1 to 4 players, ages 10 and up, 10 to 30 minutes, depending on whether you're doing a single competition or a 3-part tournament. But this is a real-time speed dice game of knocking the limbs off of gingerbread men. It's going to retail for $20, and the street date is mid-November. I will have a better date soon as it hits the warehouse, which should be in about a week and a half. So, but as many of you know, Run for Your Life Candyman has been a fairly constant seller for us, but it's a game that right now is completely out of stock. This is going to be the thing that people can look forward to for holiday. Like the original game, this is like the 10-minute version of a candy cage match. So instead of the paper sheets that you tear up, you have all these little die-cut pieces of your gingerbread men, and there are 4 gingerbread men in the game, and you have a matching set of colored dice, this great acrylic candy cane, and some special treats. It is arena-style combat, and it's real-time dice, so you're just rolling like crazy, trying to get 4 matching icons, in which case you grab the candy cane before anyone else does, stop the action, even if this guy just got it too late, and then you claim the body part. So I can claim this guy's arm. Then if you get swirls, you can either claim a special treat, which is a protection, or you can end up claiming a head or a body piece if their limbs are gone. It plays very quickly, it's frenetic, it's laugh-filled, and it's a blast to play. We even have some crazy things that are accessories for the game, like these little word bubbles that are just there for fun. People, I'm hoping, will create their own house rules with them, or at least post them for social media so that it starts spreading the word about the game. It is, I think, an absolute perfect game for impulse stocking stuffers. Drop a bow on this thing, put it on the counter. Certainly Run for Your Life has traditionally spiked at holiday, I think, because we had that long-standing tradition of, like, you know, make your own gingerbread cookies, put the frosting on and bite them off. So I know a lot of people really look forward to playing that with their families during holiday, and here's a whole new way to enjoy the game. All right, so that is everything. I thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you one-to-one.
Awesome. Jamie just asked a good question about tentacles in Tower of Madness.
Yes.
They look to be molded plastic, so are those things able to be painted if players want to, or if someone wants to get very creative with their demo copy and maybe stain it or ink wash it or anything like that?
The answer is absolutely yes. These are molded plastic. They do accept paint. There have been some recent things that we posted on our website from fans who are doing just that. In fact, some of the envoys from Double Exposure are going ahead and painting their set, so when they bring them into stores, they're going to be all dolled up as well. But yeah, I think they look great in green, but man, they look really impressive when people take some love and attention to them.
Sure. Yeah, they look really good. And are they all the same mold, or are they different molds in the shapes of the different ones?
Yeah, they are all the same mold, but interestingly, as you put them in the tower, sometimes they cock slightly different ways, so it looks more like there's a bunch more variety there. But
it does,
really,
yeah. Just visually, it looks rather different just by the shades and the shadows and everything like that. So
yeah,
cool. Angel said, "Thanks for the opportunity. Great start this week." So that's good. If anyone does have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat window. Just as a reminder for everybody, so the two main games that we talked about, Tower of Madness and Koi, we're going to be doing a 52% off sale from GTS Distribution between now and next Monday the 15th. Again, Tower of Madness is available right now. If you are attending live, you are eligible for a free demo copy of that, which clearly, I mean, that I cannot imagine that being on a demo table and somebody not asking a question about that game. Like you said, the holy hell, what is that? Like that just looks like something that people are going to immediately gravitate towards, which is really cool. So it's a great opportunity to get your free demo from GTS. There's really nothing you guys as retailers have to do. We will take all the attendees list and get that back to our sales reps here at GTS, and they'll contact you. But by all means, definitely feel free to reach out to your sales rep and ping them and remind them. That's not a problem. And even though Koi is not available yet, we are still taking pre-orders for it, so you can order that with the 52% off as well, which is really good. Tate just asked a question. I'm unfamiliar with the difference between Smirk and Dagger and Smirk and Laughter. Can you give us a quick explanation? That is a great question. I will let you fire off with that one.
First, I would not have created a sub-brand if I really didn't feel I needed one. And I know it's been something that a lot of companies have done. I did it because Smirk and Dagger for 14 years really planted a flag and stood for stab your buddy, take that games. The one time I tried to push outside of that, I had retailers, consumers, distributors all say, where's the Smirk and Dagger in the Smirk and Dagger game? Which was Sutaku, which I had to stop the presses on and put a take that mechanic in when I got that reaction at the Gamma Trade Show. So knowing that I'm now full-time, that we're looking for 5 to 6 games a year, I wasn't probably going to be able to find 6 great take that games every year, and I needed to broaden my wings a little bit. The great part about having a reliable stance was that if people loved one of my games, they probably loved them all. But there are a lot of people who don't enjoy take that games, and I had nothing else for them, and I really couldn't be that anymore. So Smirk and Laughter is specifically also tied to emotional gameplay. What I loved about Take That was all the emotional highs and lows that you experience, the gnashing the teeth, the cursing their name, and the laughter that, results from all of that. So emotionally driven gameplay is what I truly love. Smirk and Laughter allows me to play with a whole new palette of colors and a whole new range of emotion. So as you've seen from Before There Were Stars, that is like the most heartwarming storytelling game I've ever seen. Koi is like a super zen sort of a feeling, but they're all very immersive and they all deliver different emotional experiences. Sure, there's still, thinky gameplay, but I'm really more energized by what the feeling is at the table, what the stories are when we leave it. If it's a game where I personally enjoy like Euros and I'm like, oh, this was a great game, I enjoy it, but pushing the cubes around and optimizing my turn is very different than what I look for. I look for like, we leave the table and we're talking about the experience, all, in the immersive theme. And so Smirk and Laughter is a way to express that beyond backstabbing.
Curt, do you think it's fair to say that the games that'll be in the Smirk and Laughter side more than likely will not have that take that component to the games, and you'll keep that specifically just for Smirk and Dagger?
That's right. Smirk and Dagger, I didn't want to dilute, so it will be its own thing. It's still dedicated to backstabbing games. I will say there are like mild take that components even in Koi, but it's not the focus of the game. And I think that's the difference. There's not going to be, you're not going to walk away from any Smirk and Laughter game and say, oh, that was a take that game. Again, it's about all kinds of different experiences. Some I'm actually shocking myself with being able to now produce. So we're even looking at an abstract strategy for 2 players for next year. So it's going to be a whole bunch of different things.
That's excellent. So we do have a comment more than a question really from John here. He says he has a new board game tavern that is explicitly geared towards non-gamers. and his ancient copy of Kerplunk is very popular. And he said Tower of Madness could become a new gateway game. Do you see that as well as a possible opportunity for retailers?
You might have to strip just a couple, of the rules out. I did build it for gamers. As familiar a trope as this is, I did layer a lot of stuff. So for complete uninitiated gamers, it might be just a little bit much without some facilitation. However, most of the Smirk and Laughter titles are going to be very much casual, new gamer kind of games. I like to build games in that line that are going to appeal to gamers, but be the game that they bring in new people with, because quite honestly, that's the future of this industry. If we're going to survive with all these crazy games coming out all the time, we've got to have more people in looking to play games. And so new gamers, families, I think it's a very important market. Smirk and Laughter is in particular optimized to serve that new customer.
Very cool. So I have a bit of a technical issue on my side, apparently. My chat window just froze on me, and my video just froze on me, but I can still hear you and you can still hear me, which is great. So I'm not sure if there were any additional questions.
I've got another question in from Carrington.
All right.
He says, are there any plans for party games for Smirk and Laughter in the future? Boy, howdy, yes. So we are at this point planned about halfway through 2020. So we're getting a jump and trying to really be ahead of the curve. One of the games we're very excited about for next year, and I'm hoping to have it for spring of next year, is an amazing party game called The Intervention. This is a game where you and all of your concerned friends come together because someone has a problem. And that problem is you. But you don't know what the problem is, so you hold up this card that tells people what your problem is, and they have to gently, obliquely tell you what your problem is, helping you to lead you there, but not be the person that tips you off necessarily. It's a hysterical game, and we're really looking forward to that. So I will definitely have that to show at the next Gamma Trade show. In fact, it might even be published by that point.
I was going to ask if the problem might be that you have too many games.
Right? I think there is one card that's like out of control board game collection.
Very strongly possible. Very strongly possible. Yeah. So awesome. Okay. Unfortunately, my window is still frozen. So if there's any additional questions that have popped into chat, do you see any additional there, or are we okay?
Not so far.
Okay.
I will tell you some of the other previews that we have for next year. We will have our first Hidden Traitor game, which is called Menace Among Us. That game has been getting amazing feedback at all the places I've been bringing it to. It's unlike things like Werewolf, because it's honestly, it's almost like a 30 to 40 minute Battlestar Galactica game played with cards. You are on a starship, things are going wrong, there are traitors on board, but you can't necessarily tell who they are. But it's not so much about the acting out of the accusations that make it interesting. It's the actual gameplay of what you're doing that make it interesting. And for that reason, it has been appealing to people who both like and dislike the Hidden Traitor social deduction games. Those people who feel like, oh, Werewolf is just a bunch of people like sitting around and like accusing each other, and like I'm not necessarily into that. They can play and do all their treachery just in their play without having to do a whole bunch of posturing. In any case, that's a great game as well.
Awesome. Personally, one of the things I'm actually really looking forward to on the Smirk and Laughter side, and you kind of touched a little bit on this previously, my first experience ever with a Smirk and Dagger product was Cutthroat Caverns.
Yes.
And we had so much fun with that game. Ironically, and it was a random evening years ago with a friend of mine at a board game store where we just pulled it off the shelf that they had a demo copy and started playing. And it was, as you mentioned, one of those like epic take that kind of moments where it's like we're walking away from the table going, man, you remember this? And we actually still talk about that game like years later, which is really cool. And I've always loved the fact that your games do provide you what I call those stand-up moments. The opportunity to everyone just like jumps up like, whoa, this just happened. So I'm really excited to see you take that same passion and that same development and all that work that you guys do, bringing it into games that may be even more broadly accepted by gamers, right? Take that games tend to fall into a certain demographic for some customers sometimes, whereas something like Koi, honestly, it looks like something you could teach your grandkids or you could teach your grandparents, and it looks
absolutely
very easy to very, very accessible, I guess is the right way to say it. So it looks really good.
Yeah,
something
thank you.
Along that I should let everybody know about, just so everyone knows, GTS does have a demo program. So aside from the free demo of Tower of Madness that you'll get for joining today, Smirk and Dagger is part of our demo program overall. The general demo program with GTS is actually very straightforward. You can buy one copy of a game for 75% off of MSRP per storefront that you have. We handle all the back-end stuff with Smirk and Dagger, and we get you a game in store. It will have a demo sticker on it, so it'll have that on there just so it's not really for resale or anything like that. But it's a great way to get demos at a very inexpensive cost. A lot of your games too, Curt, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I doubt I am. A lot of your games are actually very easy to pick up and easy to they're not something that takes like 20, 30 minutes explanation. So that's a great opportunity for retailers to get more attention and get more attraction in the store.
Yeah, truly. Most of my games are really built for casual play, so they're usually not too rules heavy, and they have like some very broad concepts that allow you to get in quickly and get right to the heart of the matter, which is the fun of the game. Oh, I see Jamie just popped in here. Jamie says, one more question. Does the assembled tower fit wholly in the box for storage, or is it taken apart and rebuilt each play? It is taken apart, but it is magnetic. So it simply pops apart, and when you fold it back together, it goes click. And the same thing even here with the roof. So it just pops apart, snaps back together. So you pop it out, flatten it in the box, and you're good to go. It makes it very simple to put away and get back in the box. It does take a little time to get the tentacles in. So, also in that video I mentioned, which is the troubleshooting, I have 2 different ways to make sure that marbles are balanced through the tower for interesting gameplay. So definitely take a look at that video because I think you will be getting questions, especially if you have this out and you start selling them. People say, oh, my tower doesn't work, or, oh, I don't know like how to get the marbles down. There are some great ways. Just send them right to that video.
Cool. And Curt, if retailers want to engage with you after this, where can they find you online? Oh, you're in Metropolis. Okay.
So right here. So you can contact me at smirkanddagger@gmail. That's my phone number. It rings my cell and I pick it up. I'm still a one-man company. So I do all the customer service. So there we go.
Nothing wrong with being a one-man band. That's good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, well, if there's no additional questions, I guess we'll go ahead and call it right there. But I want to thank everyone for taking their time. I know it is always very busy in this time of the year with Q4 coming up and the holidays coming up. If you do have a chance, though, definitely, like I said, reach out to your sales rep to pre-order Koi. We'll make sure we get you your copies of Tower of Madness set up for your free demos for attending today. Definitely really appreciate everyone's time. Curt, I really appreciate your time as well, taking time to talk to everybody. And again, as we've talked about, publishers like you want to come back in the future. This is not a one and done. You're welcome to come back again. And retailers, if you have any feedback, feel free to reach out to me. My email address is smorris, M-O-R-R-I-S, @gtsdistribution.com. Happy to hear feedback from you as to what is good and what could use improvements in these presentations, and or if you just have any publishers that you'd like us to reach out to and make sure we get involved with these B2B webinars. But other than that, Curt, again, thank you so much. Retailers, thank you so much. Everyone have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time.
Great. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, all.